How you doing? Good evening. My name is Anthony Essien, and this is for CNES 505, and this is my critical assignment. And so my objective is to be a junior college professor. That's my chosen profession, and my leadership style would be participative. It's also called the democratic style of leadership. Um, and I feel like that's a style that best fits me, and it's an open style, and what it does is it allows for two-way communication between the professor and the students, and in the participative leadership, it allows for a shared understanding. Okay, and so the strategy that I would use based on this leadership style is what is called resonance, and the textbook, or Borland et al., what they state is it's a way to communicate, or a communication strategy, and when there's a knowing and understanding, so your objective is to know and understand your audience and what's important to your audience. When you understand your followers' needs, it improves communication between you and your followers. And it can be simplified just by listening. So the ethical considerations in the classroom, the kinesiology classroom, is like students being a part of the classroom setup. Now, we all know that each school district, they have their own curriculum, and as an instructor, I've always felt like it's important for there to be buy-in, and so then the students, along with the instructor, you put together the class rules. I believe that's very important. It could be frowned upon within the school and or the district, because there is district implemented curriculum that you have to follow. Another ethical consideration would be like a student success, because you are going to have students at varying ability levels. And so, like, how are you going to, grade them? How are you going to record that data based on the different levels? Some more ethical considerations would be the grading. Do you grade solely on ability, or does effort come into effect when you are grading your students? So, one of the ways when, if you're going to grade on effort, like, you can create contracts with students to define success. So if you go back to what we talked about, like in the beginning of the presentation, where when you have the students help you set up the class rules, you already have some buy-in there. So then it'll be a lot easier for you to, get your students to sign the contract, and, thereby playing a role in their success. But there is, the other side to that coin is, as Chow stated in 2019, grades must reflect mastery, not just effort. It's one thing to just try to do something. Anyone can try to do something, but, according to Chow, if you truly want to judge if a student knows it, they'll be able to master the subject, and that can be quantified. So it's, effort alone is not enough. So we have some more ethical considerations here, like dressing out. As they say in PE, do you put on the clothes that are going to be more suitable for you to be physically active? Why is it important for you to dress out? Here I have, if you notice at the bottom of the screen, there is a blood pressure chart, and it talks about, the various levels of, where your blood pressure is, and when it gets to certain levels, it touches on the dangers of those. And, when you dress out for PE, you're able to do more, you're able to be more physically active, which is what you want, to be, and you not only want it for that classroom, I mean, it's something that you want throughout your entire life. You want to avoid having a sedentary lifestyle. And so when you are physically inactive, there are negative health consequences, such as obesity, high blood pressure, high lipid levels, and high blood glucose. Okay, and those are all negatives, and those are things that we want to try to avoid. And so then now we get to our dilemma, if you will. So we have an obese student in the jogging class at the junior college that I teach at, and she's considered obese because her body mass index is greater than or equal to 30 kilograms per meter squared. Not meter. Menor, Meyer, and Thompson in 2009, they were the ones that defined, that's where they got the definition of like being obese. So this particular student, they have trouble jogging one lap. And one lap around the track, and the final calls for them to jog a mile. So then, as an instructor, like, what are you to do? Because they can't even complete one lap. And when when the students are asked to jog, this particular student complains of back pain and shin splints. So, like, what are we to do? Also, the student's only able to run, a total of 100 meters before stopping to walk, with those aforementioned complaints. So now we have the decision-making time. So as an instructor, what do I do with regards to giving this student a final grade? There are variables that influence, decision-making process. They have two levels. There are two levels. So you have the individual level, then you also have situational factors. So in the individual level, you're taking into account, the person, their demographics, like, if you will. And then with regards to situational factors, you're taking into account other factors. So for instance, like the school, the classroom, the setting, if you will. So our plan of action, once again, we're going to list the class rules that we set forth at the beginning of the semester, and we're not going to base the student's grade simply on the final. Okay, we're going to use cumulative data, so there will be a pre-test, and then we will have benchmarks throughout the semester, and then there's going to be a final. And so this particular student isn't going to pass or fail based on them not being able to jog the mile, when it's conceivably possible that when the semester started, they were only able to jog 10 meters before stopping. Then as the semester has progressed, they're up to 100 meters of jogging without stopping. So cumulative data will be used, and as a participative leadership, as being that type of leader, and that's who I am. So that is precisely why I revisited the class rules, and I also checked the student's attendance, and I checked the student's effort, because it is, in a sense, there's a back and forth, and so there's a two-way line of communication, and so I will have been in communication with that student as well as others throughout the entire semester, and that will allow for me to judge that student a lot better than if I lacked communication with them and that student was just a number on a roll sheet and they were given a grade. So here are my references listed. To kind of reiterate, Participative leadership like would be my style. To have like two-way communication, I feel that's the best way to run a classroom, especially at the junior college level, so that you can have, if the students have some input with regards to the class, you will have some more buy-in and ultimately less pushback. Thank you for your time.